Admiral Crixton stood on the command deck of his flagship, watching the holographic display with cold satisfaction. The Dominion had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. Every planet in the Verus system had been transformed into an impregnable fortress. Underground bunkers stretched for miles. Energy shields covered entire continents. Orbital defense platforms numbered in the thousands. Automated weapon systems could track and destroy anything that moved within 1,000,000 kilometers. The humans were coming. Everyone knew it. The Galactic Council had warned the Dominion not to attack the human colony on Meridian 7. They had ignored the warning. They had burned the colony to ash and killed 40,000 human civilians in a single night. Now the humans wanted revenge, and the Dominion was ready to give them the fight of their lives. "Let them come," Crixton said to his officers. "We have fortified every position, every moon, every asteroid, every planet. There is no path through this system that does not lead through our guns. The humans will break themselves against our walls like water against stone." His officers clicked their approval in the traditional manner of their species. They had all studied human military history. They knew about the trenches of their ancient wars. They knew about the bunkers and the fortifications that had stopped armies for years. The humans understood the fence. They would understand what they faced here. The first human ships appeared at the edge of the system 3 days later. Long-range sensors counted them carefully. 200 warships. The Dominion had over 800 defensive platforms in the outer ring alone. The math was simple. The humans would die, but something was wrong. The human fleet did not slow down. They did not form defensive formations. They did not send probes ahead to map the defenses. They simply accelerated, straight toward the first defensive line. Commander Yethanol watched from the orbital platform above the gas giant Verus 6. His station controlled 47 automated weapon satellites. Each satellite could destroy a cruiser with a single shot. The humans were flying directly into his kill zone. "They must be desperate," his second officer said. "Or stupid. Perhaps both," Yethanol replied. But something in his stomach felt cold. He had read reports about human tactics. They were not stupid. They were never stupid. The human fleet reached optimal firing range. Yethanol gave the order. All 47 satellites opened fire at once. Beams of concentrated energy lanced through space toward the human ships. The display lit up with impact markers. And then the human ships were through. Not around. Not retreating. Through. They had taken every hit and kept coming. Their shields flickered and sparked, but they held. The satellites cycled for another shot, but the humans were already too close. Missiles streaked from the human ships. Not toward the satellites. Toward the ammunition storage depots that fed them. The explosions were beautiful and terrible. Yethanol watched as his entire defensive network went dark in less than 4 minutes. The humans had not tried to avoid his position. They had not tried to find a weakness. They had simply accepted the cost of a direct assault and paid it. "All hands abandon station," Yethanol ordered. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. The humans were already past him, already heading for the next defensive line. News of the breakthrough spread through the Dominion fleet like a disease. Admiral Crixton refused to believe it at first. The outer defenses had been designed to destroy fleets twice this size, but the reports kept coming. Position after position was falling, not because the defenses failed, but because the humans simply refused to stop. The second defensive line was built around the asteroid belt. Thousands of rocks had been hollowed out and filled with weapons. Mines drifted between them in patterns designed to funnel any attacking fleet into predetermined kill zones. It was a masterpiece of defensive engineering. The humans did not play the game. They did not follow the safe paths. They flew straight through the minefields. Ships exploded. Hulls cracked. Escape pods tumbled into the void. But for every human ship that died, 2 more kept pressing forward. They reached the asteroid fortresses and began landing troops. General Morath commanded the garrison on Asteroid Station Titan 9. He had 3,000 soldiers under his command. The corridors were designed to channel attackers into ambush points. Every intersection was a kill zone. Every room could be sealed and flooded with toxic gas. No force in the galaxy could take the station without losing 10 times its numbers. The human dropships crashed through the docking bay doors without even trying to dock properly. They simply rammed their way inside. The doors tore open. Air rushed out. The humans did not care. They were already wearing combat armor. They charged out of their ships before the Dominion soldiers could even form a defensive line. Morath watched the battle through security cameras. The humans moved like nothing he had ever seen. They did not take cover when they could advance instead. They did not retreat when wounded. They pushed forward through every kill zone, stepping over the bodies of their fallen comrades without pausing. When their guns ran empty, they used knives. When their knives broke, they used their fists. The station fell in 6 hours. Morath surrendered when he realized that the humans were not going to stop until every Dominion soldier was dead. Better to live as a prisoner than die for a position that could not be held. Admiral Crix then received the news with growing horror. Every asteroid station was telling the same story. The humans took casualties. Terrible casualties, but they kept coming. They took every position they attacked. Not through superior technology. Not through clever tactics. Through sheer, unstoppable determination. The third defensive line was the inner planets. Vareth 3, Vareth 4, and Vareth 5 had been transformed into fortress worlds. Populations had been moved underground. Armies had been trained for years. Anti-orbital guns could shoot down anything that tried to land. The humans landed anyway. Their dropships fell from the sky like burning meteors. Half of them were destroyed before they reached the ground. The survivors crashed into fields, cities, and mountains. And then the humans climbed out and started fighting. Captain Elena Vance led the assault on Firebase Gamma on Vareth 4. Her company had started with 160 soldiers. 47 were still alive when they reached the Firebase's outer walls. The walls were 20 meters high and 5 meters thick. Defensive turrets lined the top every 10 meters. Options? She asked her sergeant. We could wait for armor support. Should arrive in 3 hours. Negative. We take this position now. They used grappling hooks and climbing gear. The turrets cut them down as they climbed. Elena watched soldiers she had trained with for years fall screaming to the ground below. She kept climbing. When she reached the top, she pulled herself over the wall and emptied her rifle into the first defender she saw. 23 soldiers made it over the wall with her. They took the firebase in 40 minutes of room-to-room fighting. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found Elena sitting on a pile of rubble, bleeding from wounds she did not remember receiving, surrounded by the bodies of enemies she did not remember killing. "Captain, you were supposed to wait," the reinforcement commander said. "Position needed taking," Elena replied. So we took it. This scene repeated across all 3 planets. Human forces accepted casualty rates that would have broken any other species. They did not wait for optimal conditions. They did not seek easy targets. They attacked whatever was in front of them and did not stop until it was taken. Admiral Crix then made his last stand at Vareth Prime, the capital world, the most heavily defended position in the entire system. Underground bunkers could shelter the entire population. Shield generators could withstand nuclear bombardment. The planetary garrison numbered in the millions. The human fleet arrived in orbit after losing 40% of its original strength. They should have been broken. They should have been demoralized. Instead, they broadcast a simple message on all frequencies. Surrender the war criminals responsible for Meridian 7, and this ends. Refuse, and we take this planet the same way we took everything else. Crix then refused. He could not believe that the humans had anything left. He ordered his forces to prepare for the final defense. The landings began at dawn on the capital city. Human soldiers poured from the sky in numbers that seemed impossible. They had brought everything they had left. Every soldier, every marine, every pilot who could hold a rifle. They attacked the city from every direction at once. The fighting lasted for 9 days. The humans took every building, every street, every bunker. They did not bypass strong points. They did not wait for artillery. They threw themselves at defended positions until those positions fell. The cost was staggering, but the result was inevitable. On the 10th day, Crixton stood in his command bunker as human soldiers cut through the last blast door. He had expected them to look tired, broken. Instead, they looked angry, focused, ready to keep fighting for as long as it took. The soldier who took him prisoner was young, barely old enough to serve. But his eyes were old. He had seen too much death, caused too much death, and he was still standing. "You fortified every position," the young soldier said. "Good defenses. Really good defenses." "Then how?" Crixton asked. "How did you take them all?" The soldier looked at him for a long moment. "Because that is what humans do. We take positions. It does not matter how strong they are. It does not matter how many of us die. If a position needs taking, we take it. That is how we have always been. That is how we will always be." Crixton was taken aboard a human ship for transport to trial. As he looked out the viewport at the conquered system, he understood something that his intelligence reports had never told him. The Dominion had built walls to stop an enemy. But humans were not stopped by walls. Humans were the species that had invented the concept of acceptable losses. They were the species that had learned, across thousands of years of bloody history, that any position could be taken if you were willing to pay the price. The Dominion had fortified every position, and the humans had taken every position, not because they were stronger, not because they were smarter, but because they simply refused to accept any other outcome. The Galactic Council received the news with a mixture of horror and fascination. The humans had won, but they had paid a terrible price. Surely this would teach them the cost of war. Surely they would be more peaceful now. They were wrong. The lesson the humans took from the Vareth campaign was simple. Victory was possible, no matter the cost, no matter the odds. If humanity decided that a position needed to be taken, it would be taken. And any species that harmed human civilians would learn this lesson the hard way. The galaxy had been warned. Some species listened. Others did not. But in time, everyone came to understand the simple truth that the Dominion had learned too late. You could fortify every position. You could build every defense. You could make victory impossible. And the humans would take your positions anyway, because that was who they were. That was who they would always be, the species that took positions. No matter what,